Hi guys, and welcome to Heat 4 of Masteraths Robot Wars Endgame, Series 10. Okay, so in the last few heats, we've seen quite a few new bloods go through. Yeah, the veterans have not been coming through as well as we thought, but maybe this heat will be different. Now, in this heat, there are two former Masteraths Robot Wars semi-finalists. However, they've both only made it there once. Can these one-trick ponies make themselves two-trick ponies right here tonight? Or will they just lose out again? Let's find out. Phenomenon, the whirling dervish spinner, whatever. Good robot, but can be pushed over onto its side at times. And it has no Shremek. So, you never know. Well known for destroying Trident, the former quarter-finalist at one point, back 2 series ago. Masek, famed for being a Legends champion and also for beating Calamity Call 4 Calamity Call 3 in its last match in the quarterfinals of, I believe, Series 7. ZForce, big lifter on this one. Finished 3rd in Series 3. But has never been able to replicate that since. Hasn't actually won a heat since then. Maybe this will be its heat. And Gear, Launch 995's favourite robot. Roboteer standby. 3, 2, 1, activate. And here we go. It's ZForce going straight in there with Phenomenon. And there is Masek with a flip on Gear. Now remember, everything is on the line here. This is the final series, so this is their final chance to get known. And to be known as the final champion. You know, when it came to the most amount of robots in an MRW series, and they were the best. So, a lot is on the line here. Phenomenon has been flipped by a combination of Masek and ZForce. And now here comes Gear. And there's a flip by Masek onto ZForce. And the two who are probably the favourites here are fighting out one against one. Excalibur trying to get involved, but luckily ZForce gets away. Gear pushes Phenomenon a little bit. There's a flip again by Masek. Masek's probably the most dominant of this heat at the moment. Then again, this heat hasn't been going that long. Masek on his side, though! This is bad! ZForce pushes Masek. Can he get Masek onto the pit? No, he can't. He tried. If he just kept Masek there, Masek would have been eliminated. Gear comes in again with the push. With the pushing power of Gear, which, well, if I'm honest with you, isn't really that much from Gear. So, yeah. Gear's going to be in serious trouble for a bit. Bill's going to come in and count out Phenomenon here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there goes Gear! 8, 9, 10. Gear just flew straight out the arena. And, well, that's the match. ZForce and Masek, the two former semi-finalists, go through. Cease. So, ZForce and Masek go through to the semi-finals. Who will they be up against? We're about to find out. Okay, so the one-trick ponies have made it through level 1. Let's see who their opponents will be this time. Ultimatum. A point can be an impressive robot, but has never really proved itself. Lifting Arm normally gets knocked out in either round 1 or round 2. Hasn't made it to the heat finals from my knowledge. Ensign, big flipper on it, former tag team champion alongside Exodus. We'll see how it does here. You never know. Spawn Supreme, a former New Blood champion. I believe the Series 5 New Blood champion. The unknown New Blood champion, you could say. Hasn't really been that impressive here, but he's made it through a few first round battles already. And the most impressive New Blood in MRW history. The undefeated Crush Syndrome. The current Masteraths Robot Wars undisputed Legends champion here. Roboteer standby. 3, 2, 1. Activate. And Ensign goes straight for Ultimatum. 3 flippers in this one. There's Crush Syndrome pushing both Ultimatum and Spawn Supreme. There into the side wall. And again from Crush Syndrome. Crush Syndrome is now going on a ruckus, you could say, on a complete haywire trip. Onto Ensign. Ensign able to escape, but not for long. Crush Syndrome comes back and is just making sure the flippers don't get it. It's a brilliant plan. There goes Ensign. And Ensign out of the arena by the pure force of Crush Syndrome. Who is going to fall alongside him? Crush Syndrome again pushing. The most impressive new blood we've ever seen here in MRW is Crush Syndrome. The Legends champ right here has just eliminated the former tag team champion Ensign. Probably the favourite to go alongside Crush Syndrome to go through. Ultimatum again. Shoved to one side and spun round. Spawn Supreme does self-right. Spawn Supreme trying to maybe help Ultimatum out, saying, yeah, he's immobilized. Now take me on! Oh, and look at that. I don't know what the hell happened there. Oh! Yeah, backflip from him there. Backflip from Spawn Supreme. Crush Syndrome. Oh, he's on his top, but... He's on his top. It's Crush Syndrome. Pushes him into the corner. White Lightning. Gets the axe down on Crush Syndrome. Could we be seeing a humongous shock in the first round? Bill's coming to counter Ultimatum though. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he's out. And he didn't get there in time to self-right Ultimatum. So Crush Syndrome is going to go through just barely. Spawn Supreme, you may have just helped out a future series champion here. Cease. So Crush Syndrome, a dominating performance against Ensign. In my opinion, the favourite to go through in this heat. And then Ultimatum was flipped up by Spawn Supreme. And by the time Crush Syndrome was flipped and pretty much immobilized, Ultimatum had already got counted out. So, Crush Syndrome goes through alongside Spawn Supreme. And now the matches will stand like this. Spawn Supreme versus ZForce in a very good match. But first, Crush Syndrome versus Masek. Look at this. So, the very impressive Undisputed Legends champion is about to go up against maybe his toughest opponent yet. He's going up against Masek, a very difficult opponent to take out. However, it's lightweight. Can Crush Syndrome do the same thing as he did with Ensign just a few minutes ago? Raw tier standby. 3, 2, 1, activate. This is Crush Syndrome's biggest threat for his title here. For his, well, not really his title, but definitely for his undefeated run is Masek. Masek, low ground clearance robot with a hugely powerful lifting arm, which propels the entire robot into battle. And Crush Syndrome needs to stay away from the flipper. Needs to stay away. Hit from the side, which is what he's trying to do. The problem is, though, trying to keep Masek to stay on his side is difficult. And another push from Crush Syndrome. Nothing at the moment has happened for Masek. Masek needs to stay on his toes. Needs to stay on his toes and find an opening. Because Crush Syndrome, when he's like this, is like a freight train. And he will not be stopped. He's got a chance! No! Missed it! And Crush Syndrome goes straight in again onto the powerful robot Masek. Masek now into the corner with White Lightning. Down comes the axe of White Lightning. Masek able to escape harm, but now into Excalibur. He's going to have some pushing power time. And Excalibur pushing again. Masek is okay. The match continues. Masek trying to flip Crush Syndrome. Doesn't get it in time. I wonder if White Lightning's axe may have done some damage there. I'm not sure. It looks like it. Masek now. Invertible flipper. You rarely see many of them. But you do here. And Crush Syndrome shoves into Masek again. And those hits have got to be playing hell with the electronics. And nearly Masek out of the arena. Brilliant move here from Crush Syndrome. Keeping Masek, attacking Masek from the side with some small moves, and then just comes ramming in with a big move. And just from one side of the arena to the other. As Crush Syndrome, Masek needs to try and wait out the storm here, but it's difficult against Crush Syndrome. His power is limited, so that if there is a weakness with Crush Syndrome, alongside it having no Shroom Mech, that's it. It has limited power. The power is limited, and as you can see, Crush Syndrome is slowing down. But will he be slowing down enough? Pit button goes down. Will Masek fall here? Masek trying to escape. He knows what Crush Syndrome is trying to do, and gets away. Masek trying to get the flip underneath Crush Syndrome. Crush Syndrome using the back. to try and scoop Masek up. And Masek goes in after a very close match. Crush Syndrome beats Masek. And, well, if you don't believe the hype, believe it now. Masek eliminated. Cease. I believe that's something like the 3rd or 4th time in a row that Masek has been eliminated in the Heat semi-finals. But Crush Syndrome will go through to the finals to take on the winner of our next match. Will it be Spawner Supreme or ZForce? Two very similar looking robots here going one-on-one. Before this heat, I would have put Ensign and Crush Syndrome down as probably the final. But with Crush Syndrome currently in the final, it is down to ZForce and Spawner Supreme. Which one of them is strong enough to take it on head-to-head? Raw Tiers standby. 3, 2, 1. Activate. ZForce versus Spawner Supreme. The winner of this match goes through to take on the Legends champion, Crush Syndrome. It's a huge, huge match here. Not only does the winner go through to the Heat final and a chance to carry on in the final series, but also that it's against Crush Syndrome, the Legends champion, the upstart, the undefeated robot. If you can beat the undefeated robot, then, well, what can I say? You are bound for stardom, I'll tell you. You may even be bound for a series title if you can beat the undefeated robot, especially someone like Crush Syndrome. We only have 2 undefeated robots here in MRW, and that's Sausage Burger and Crush Syndrome. Only 2 are undefeated. With Sausage Burger already going through to the quarterfinals, Crush Syndrome would be wanting to join him. Those two, you could say, are sort of those are the big rivals, you could say. Both new bloods, very impressive. But anyway, that's not about that. It's about this match. ZForce versus Spawner Supreme. ZForce pushing into Spawner Supreme. Spawner Supreme trying to get through the back door here. ZForce pushes the pit release button. Spawner Supreme is still stuck on ZForce's weapon. He's stuck. And the flip puts Spawner Supreme down. And ZForce is the robot that is going to take on Crush Syndrome in what is going to be one hellacious fight. Cease. Well, a good match there, and I thought Spawner Supreme would probably have the better chances. He's already flipped up Crush Syndrome, but nope, it goes to ZForce, and ZForce has got a mountain to climb. He better be prepared for some Crush Syndrome. I believe that Crush Syndrome is 9-0. 9 matches undefeated. Can he make it 10 right here and make it through to the series quarterfinals? Or will ZForce, former Series 3 Seed 3, take the win? Raw Tier standby. 3, 2, 1, activate. The stats would say that Crush Syndrome will be the favourite here, but you can't count out the flipper of ZForce. But ZForce got himself in trouble right from the start. He caught himself right in the corner there. White Lightning's going to come down with the axe right onto the bottom of ZForce. ZForce is back in. But that might have made hell. I think it might have got one of the wheels of ZForce. And if so, that's bad for ZForce. ZForce in serious trouble here. He can't move. He's pretty much crippled now. ZForce is in trouble, and Crush Syndrome can just attack at his leisure now. White Lightning has done the damage to ZForce early, and ZForce cannot escape now. I think only one of his wheels is working. ZForce 2-wheeled machine. Only one of his wheels is working. It means he's only going in a circle, pretty much. But ZForce tries to get underneath Crush Syndrome. ZForce is not out of it yet. He's at a big disadvantage now. But he can still turn and flip if he can get underneath Crush Syndrome. Crush Syndrome, to do damage, needs to be in close contact with his opponent. If he comes straight in, ZForce, if he gets the ground clearance advantage, ZForce can get him up and over. And that will be the match. ZForce attempting to do that, but nothing is happening. Crush Syndrome is pushing ZForce at his leisure. He doesn't give a crap at the moment. ZForce being pushed again. Crush Syndrome. There was the chance, but ZForce missed it. Should have kept going. Crush Syndrome pushes ZForce into the pit release button. He sees the possible end and a 10-0 record coming up here. ZForce, wait a minute. Can ZForce get Crush Syndrome up? Crush Syndrome very close. He's riding onto ZForce's front. No, ZForce nearly got him. Crush Syndrome able to escape. Very close match at the moment between these two robots. And Crush Syndrome is going to win! ZForce has nothing he can do about it. And Crush Syndrome becomes the third new blood to go through in this series. First Isolde, then Sausage Burger, now Crush Syndrome. 10-0 for Crush Syndrome. Cease. Well, a very closely contested match right there. ZForce was injured very early on, was crippled very early on. When White Lightning hit the wheel of ZForce, stopped working. He could only move in a circle, but that doesn't mean that he was anyway out. Had a chance to flip up Crush Syndrome on a few occasions, missed the chances. Crush Syndrome just too low on the flipper. If he was a bit higher, that would have been it. But it goes down as a Crush Syndrome victory. Now he's 10-0 here in MRW, and he's looking forward to a quarter-final clash. So, Crush Syndrome is the winner of tonight's Heat 4. We'll be seeing you for Heat 5 of Masteraths Endgame. And remember, folks, you can't split off MRW without MRW. I'm Masterath, and I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye.